We begin in the quiet moments before the dawn. The world is still. The breath in your lungs feels automatic, a biological rhythm that you have come to associate with existence itself. You open your eyes. The room floods with photons. Objects take shape. The timeline of your day begins to construct itself. The tasks, the burdens, the history of who you think you are. You call this waking up. But what if it is the opposite? What if, the moment you open your eyes to the physical world, you are actually falling asleep? Consider the audacity of a singular, terrifying, and liberating idea. There is one life, and that life has nothing to do with the heart beating in your chest or the neurons firing in your brain. We are conditioned to believe in multiplicity. We see 7 billion separate souls, fighting for resources, fighting for recognition, fighting for survival. We see beginnings and endings. We celebrate birth as the start and fear death as the finale. But this is a deception of the senses. If we strip away the veneer of time, if we look past the atomic structure of the universe, we find a stillness that defies the laws of thermodynamics. There are not different kinds of life. Life does not have degrees. It does not fade. It does not rot. It does not end. The philosophy of the eternal suggests that what we call life in this world is merely a projection, a complex, sensory-rich hallucination of separation. When we feel anxiety, when we sigh with weariness, when we frown at a reflection in the mirror, we are, in a very literal sense, worshiping death. We are acknowledging the power of decay. We are bowing down to the idea that we are fragile, temporary, and alone. But the resurrection, the core mystery of the ages, is not about a body rising from a slab of cold stone. It is about the mind rising from the sarcophagus of the ego. It is the awakening from the dream of exile. Let us transport ourselves back 2 millennia, not to the sanitized stained glass version of history, but to the grit and the dust of Judea, to a time of iron and blood. We are not looking at this story through the eyes of the mystic or the devotee. We are looking at it through the eyes of the machine, the empire, the Roman tribune. History is often told by the victors, but truth is often found in the silence of the confused. Imagine the mindset of Clavius, a tribune of Rome. He is a man of logic, a man of steel. He serves the emperor. His world is defined by borders, by taxes, by the sharp edge of a gladius. He deals in crowd control and the suppression of rebellion. To him, a Messiah is not a savior. A Messiah is a logistical problem, a disruption to the peace of Rome. This is the state of the modern human mind. We are all, in a way, Roman tribunes. We police our thoughts. We suppress our emotions. We try to maintain order in a chaotic psyche. We answer to the Caesar of social conditioning. We want things to be predictable. We want the bodies to stay buried. We want the laws of physics to hold. In the film Risen, we see this archetype confronted with the impossible. The tribune is tasked with a simple job: seal the tomb, ensure the dead stay dead, quell the rumors. It is the ultimate attempt of the ego to control reality. The ego loves a sealed tomb. It loves to define the parameters of what is possible. It says, here is the boundary of life, and there is the boundary of death, and nothing shall cross between them. But the stone rolls away, not just in the valley outside Jerusalem, but in the architecture of the mind. The body is gone. The tribune, the man of facts, is suddenly cast into a vertigo of the unknown. He hunts for a corpse because a corpse would restore order. A corpse proves that death is real. A corpse proves that the empire is safe. This search is the story of every human being who has ever tried to find happiness in the material world. We are looking for the body. We are looking for proof that matter is the ultimate reality. We hunt for satisfaction in objects, in status, in the temporary pleasures of the flesh, hoping to find something solid. But the tomb is empty. The world cannot offer us the stability we seek, because the world itself is the illusion. The turning point comes not when the tribune finds the body, but when he encounters the presence. There is a scene, a moment of cinematic and spiritual rupture, where the skepticism of the soldier collides with the reality of the risen. He walks into a room expecting to arrest a fraud, and instead he finds a peace that dismantles his armor. He sees the man who was dead, now sitting, breathing, smiling. This is not a ghost. This is not a hologram. This is a violation of every rule the soldier has lived by. In that moment, the hallucination of the world cracks. The tribune's face, a map of confusion and awe, reflects our own potential awakening. When we truly touch the spiritual dimension, when we have that moment of grace, it doesn't just add to our life, it obliterates our previous understanding of it. You see, the ego cannot survive the presence of true life. The ego thrives on conflict, on the narrative of us versus them, of conqueror versus conquered. But in the presence of the risen, there is no battle, there is no defense. As the teachings say, in my defenselessness, my safety lies. The Roman has his sword, his authority, his legions. The Christ has nothing but his being, and yet it is the Roman who is disarmed. This is the lesson for us today. We build our fortresses. We defend our grievances. We hold on to our judgments like shields, thinking they protect us. We think that if we judge our brother, we are safe. If we control the narrative, we are secure. But all we are doing is reinforcing the walls of our own prison. We are guarding an empty tomb. The resurrection is the invitation to drop the sword, to stop fighting the current of the universe, to realize that the enemy we perceive, the difficult boss, the estranged partner, the political adversary, is just a projection of our own internal conflict. If there is only one life and we share it with God, then there is no other. There is only the self, appearing in infinite disguises. Let us return to that provocative thought. Another day of hallucinating. It sounds cynical, perhaps even nihilistic, but it is actually the most optimistic perspective one can hold. If the pain, the suffering, and the death we see are hallucinations, then they are not true. And if they are not true, they can be changed. Not by rearranging the furniture on the deck of the Titanic, but by waking up from the dream of the sinking ship. A Course in Miracles asks us to look at our sighs of weariness, our slight discomforts. It labels them as the worship of death. Why? Because they stem from the belief that we are separate from the source. A battery that is disconnected from the generator will eventually run out of power. A wave that thinks it is separate from the ocean will fear crashing into the shore. But we are not the battery. We are the electricity. We are not the wave. We are the water. When Clavius, the Roman, stares into the eyes of the risen, he is not just seeing a miracle. He is seeing the end of his career as a master of the material world. He can no longer go back to Pilate and report that everything is under control. He can no longer worship the gods of Rome. He has seen the truth, and the truth has ruined him for the world of illusions. This is the danger and the beauty of the spiritual path. Once you realize that love is the only reality, you become unfit for the games of the ego. You can no longer hate with the same passion. You can no longer judge with the same conviction. You begin to see the enemy not as a monster, but as a brother who is sleeping, a brother who is having a nightmare of separation. Part 5, Rising into Joy. So how do we apply this? How do we move from the intellectual understanding of one life to the visceral experience of it? It begins with the refusal to honor the hallucination. When you wake up tomorrow, before you check your phone, before you let the world download its chaos into your neural pathways, pause. Acknowledge the state of the dream. Remind yourself, I am spirit. I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. This is not an affirmation of the ego. It is a declaration of independence from the tyranny of matter. We must become like the tribune who lays down his sword. We must stop trying to solve the problem of life, because life is not a problem to be solved. It is a mystery to be lived. The problems we perceive, the lack of money, the lack of love, the aging body, are all symptoms of the belief in separation. When we heal the belief, the symptoms dissolve. The movie Risen ends with the soldier wandering, changed. He doesn't have all the answers. He hasn't become a theologian. But he is no longer a cog in the machine of death. He has stepped out of the timeline of the empire and into the timeline of the spirit. We are invited to make that same step, to rise into joy. Not the joy that comes from getting what you want, but the joy that comes from realizing you already have everything, because you rock to everything. The resurrection is not a date on a calendar. It is a decision in the mind, a decision to overlook the error of death and focus solely on the truth of life. The tomb is empty. The mind is free. The hallucination is fading. And what remains is the light that never changes, the one life that we share inextricably with the divine. Welcome to the resurrection.